The warm breeze from the Guadalquivir River carried the faint scent of orange blossoms through the open lattice of the Alhambra. In the twilight, the city of Córdoba shimmered like a jewel, a beacon of knowledge and culture in a world often cloaked by darkness and war. But beneath its sunlit streets, behind carved wooden doors and beneath mosaic tiles, secrets waited in silence, secrets that whispered in forgotten languages, waiting to be found. Layla sat on the balcony of her family's modest home, ink-stained fingers tracing the edges of a small book wrapped in soft, purple velvet. The fabric was smooth, almost too delicate for a city as harsh as theirs. The book's weight was heavier than any she had held before. She had not seen the visitor who left it, only the soft footsteps that faded away like a dream. The evening prayer call echoed softly from the mosque's minaret as Layla gently opened the book, revealing ancient scripts curling like tendrils of smoke from a fire long extinguished. The letters were neither Arabic nor Latin, but something older than the stars that blanketed the night sky. Her heart beat faster with curiosity and fear. She had always known her father's world was more than what it seemed, a man who studied the stars for the caliph, a man who hid more than he revealed. But this book, this was a key. Layla's eyes scanned the first page, maps of cities long vanished, words that seemed to dance and shimmer on the fragile parchment, and a seal that glowed faintly even in the darkness. The city was alive with stories, and this book was a door. Tonight, the world she knew would begin to unravel. Her dreams that night were filled with halls lined with books that sang, scrolls that breathed, and shadows that watched. She dreamed of a library lost beneath Córdoba, of secrets buried under centuries of stone and silence. And she dreamed of a choice to seek the truth, no matter the cost. As the city slept, Layla held the book close, ready to step into a world where knowledge was power, and power demanded sacrifice. The city of Córdoba stood as a jewel of Al-Andalus, a place where cultures intertwined like the delicate patterns woven into its silk tapestries. Once a Roman outpost, it had blossomed under Muslim rule into the greatest city in Europe. The heart of the Umayyad Caliphate, Córdoba, was a place where scholars, poets, and philosophers gathered beneath towering minarets and tranquil orange groves. Layla knew every street and stone of this city, from the bustling markets where the scent of saffron and cumin mingled with the cries of merchants, to the quiet courtyards where elders told tales of kingdoms lost to time. But even in a city famed for openness and learning, there were walls that knowledge could not easily breach. Her family's home was modest, a two-story stone house nestled in the Jewish quarter, not far from the great mosque that now soared, where once stood a Roman temple. The house was a sanctuary filled with parchment scrolls, ancient tomes, and star charts that her father had meticulously crafted over years. Her father, Tariq ibn Wahid, was an astronomer, respected by the caliph's court, yet a man who preferred the company of books and stars to courtly intrigue. He had inherited a tradition of secret scholarship, one that valued knowledge not only from the Quran, but from Greek, Persian, and Indian texts, hidden from the conservative eyes of the city's religious leaders. Layla's childhood was woven with stories her father whispered beneath the crescent moon, tales of Alexandria's great library, of the wisdom once held in the great cities of Babylon and Persepolis, and of manuscripts that had traveled the Silk Road on camel caravans. But Layla was more than a listener. From a young age, she devoured every book she could find, learning to read in Arabic, Hebrew, Greek, and Syriac, much to her father's quiet pride and the disapproval of neighbors who whispered about a girl who read instead of marrying. She remembered the long evenings at the observatory atop the Alcazar Palace, where her father would point to the heavens and explain the orbits of planets, the rhythm of eclipses, and the delicate balance of the cosmos. The Caliph himself was a patron of the sciences, but even his openness was limited when it came to the more esoteric arts. Her father secretly studied Córdoba, was a city alive with knowledge, yet shadowed by politics. The court was divided by factions, the wise viziers who sought progress, the hardline imams who called for strict adherence to faith, and the mercenaries whose loyalty was bought with gold and blood. As Layla grew, so too did the tensions. The Caliph Abd al-Rahman III ruled with wisdom, but was aging, and rumors spread of conspiracies and purges against scholars accused of heresy. Her father's library, hidden beneath their home, became a refuge for manuscripts banned elsewhere, texts on astronomy, medicine, philosophy, and the occult. The secret chamber was carved from ancient Roman foundations, a cool, dark place lined with shelves holding fragile scrolls wrapped in linen. Here Layla learned to decipher texts forbidden to women. The parchment whispered secrets of civilizations' long-vanished, texts from the Dead Sea Scrolls. Greek philosophers like Pythagoras and Plato, alchemical formulas, and even astrological charts that predicted the rise and fall of empires. Despite the dangers, Layla felt drawn to this world more than ever. She was not content with the limited role prescribed for her. She dreamed of opening the doors to the knowledge hidden beneath the city, to a place where the ancient and the mystical coexisted. One afternoon, as the sun filtered through stained glass windows, a shadow crossed their courtyard. A visitor arrived, cloaked, man with eyes like polished onyx and hands weathered from travel. He carried with him the book wrapped in purple velvet. He left it on the doorstep, a silent message. Tariq frowned when Layla showed him the book that night. "This is no ordinary text," he murmured, his fingers trembling as they traced the foreign script. "This is from before the Caliphate, perhaps from the Visigothic kings, or even earlier." Layla's heart quickened. The book contained a map, coded in a language her father struggled to read, a cipher, pointing to a hidden chamber beneath the city, a repository of knowledge lost to time and fear. The political climate grew darker as word of her father's secret collection spread. Neighbors began to avoid their home. The Grand Imam's patrols started to scour the Jewish quarter. One night, flames engulfed their home. Layla barely escaped, clutching the mysterious book close to her chest. Her father was taken, arrested, by the Caliph's guards on charges of heresy and sedition. Now alone, with the city turning hostile, Layla knew she had to find the lost chamber herself, not just for knowledge, but to save her father, with the help of Yusuf, her father's apprentice. A young man skilled in languages and stealth, she began her dangerous quest. Together, they followed the clues woven into the ancient scripts. They explored tunnels beneath the city-old aqueducts, forgotten Roman sewers, and hidden passageways beneath the great mosque. Asterisk, 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 each step revealed wonders. Walls inscribed with strange symbols, hidden alcoves lined with glass orbs that reflected light like stars, and dusty scrolls that floated mysteriously in the dark. But danger was never far behind. Patrols searched for them, and Yusuf's behavior grew stranger as they delved deeper. The knowledge they uncovered was ancient, powerful, and it seemed to affect him in ways Layla could not understand. The city of Córdoba was no longer the safe haven she knew. It was a labyrinth of secrets, shadows and whispers, and the lost library beneath the city awaited. The night air was thick with tension as Layla and Yusuf slipped through the shadowed alleys of Córdoba. The streets, once alive with the chatter of merchants and scholars, now felt oppressive and silent. Word had spread, her father's arrest had shaken the quarters, and eyes watched their every move. Yusuf, once her father's loyal apprentice, had grown restless. His mind was tangled with the ancient scripts they uncovered, the cipher that guided them ever deeper below the city's heart. The strange power woven into the scrolls seemed to pulse beneath his skin, quickening his breath and clouding his thoughts. Each tunnel they entered was a time capsule, dusty and cold, lined with the echoes of footsteps long gone. The aqueducts beneath the city had once carried life-giving water. Now they carried secrets. Layla's fingers traced the cracked stones, feeling the weight of history pressed down upon her. Their lantern cast trembling light on faded mosaics, patterns of stars and mythical creatures, warning or perhaps welcoming them. At times, the walls whispered, or so it seemed to Layla's ears, voices half heard, luring and warning. One evening, deep in a forgotten chamber, Yusuf unfurled a scroll that shimmered with golden ink. The text spoke of the Emerald Chamber, a sacred place beneath the city where knowledge from the ancient world was preserved, protected by traps and wards meant to deter the unworthy. "This is it," Yusuf whispered, eyes wide with feverish excitement. "If we find this chamber, we will hold the wisdom of civilizations lost to time." But Layla noticed the shadows under Yusuf's eyes growing longer, his hands trembling as he handled the fragile parchment. When he spoke, his voice sometimes faltered, and he muttered strange words under his breath. Asterisk. One night, as they rested near an underground spring, Yusuf dreamt aloud. His voice carried visions of the library alive, scrolls breathing and speaking, demanding devotion and sacrifice. "Layla," he said, clutching her hand tightly. "The scrolls, they are alive. They call to me. They say knowledge is power, but power has a price." She comforted him, though unease gnawed at her heart. The deeper they went, the more the city above seemed to shrink, swallowed by fear and suspicion. Meanwhile, news arrived that the Grand Imam had declared her father a heretic, ordering his imprisonment and the burning of his library. The city's streets grew dangerous. Shadows lengthened with patrols searching for anyone connected to the forbidden knowledge. Layla's family home was destroyed in a raid. She was forced into hiding, carrying only the purple book and fragments of her father's collection. Pressure mounted as Layla and Yusuf approached the old Roman foundations beneath the great mosque. Here, the architecture's shifted walls curved impossibly. Geometric symbols etched deep into stone, wards glowing faintly with ancient magic. Yusuf's obsession intensified. He carved sigils into the walls, chanted invocations from the scrolls, and spoke of secrets that transcended time and space. One night, Layla found him in the dark, eyes wild, scribbling frantically on a wall. "They're calling me," he said. "The Emerald Chamber wants a guardian. Someone must stay." Fear rooted Layla. She realized they were not just chasing knowledge. They were entangled in a mystery far older and darker than the politics above. As they prepared to enter the final passage, a voice echoed in the tunnels, a warning or a threat. Layla could not tell. The library beneath Córdoba was no longer just a place. It was a living force, and it was watching. The narrow passage beneath the great mosque opened into a vast chamber unlike anything Layla had imagined. It was a place suspended between time and space, a cavern of emerald light that shimmered from countless glass orbs floating mid-air, casting dancing reflections on walls inscribed with arcane symbols and ancient script. The air was thick with the scent of aged parchment and a faint metallic temp that made her skin prickle. Layla stepped forward cautiously, clutching the purple book, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. Yusuf followed close behind, his face pale but shining with a feverish excitement. The chamber hummed softly, a resonance that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats. In the center stood an altar carved from a single slab of jade. On it lay scrolls and tablets, glowing faintly, as if alive. Layla reached out to touch one scroll, as her fingers brushed the delicate parchment. Letters swirled and formed images, maps of lost cities, diagrams of stars and geometries that bent reality, in texts describing philosophies that challenged the foundations of their faith. This knowledge, Yusuf breathed, it could change everything. But the chamber demanded a price. A great inscription arched over the altar, written in a script neither Arabic nor Latin, but older, almost sentient. To carry truth to the surface, you must leave behind what you love most. Layla's heart clenched. She thought of her father, imprisoned above, the family she had lost, and the home reduced to ashes. Yusuf knelt, reverently unrolling a scroll that revealed visions of cities swallowed by fire and dust. Alexandria, Carthage, Baghdad, great centers of knowledge, erased by hatred and war. The same fate could befall Córdoba if this knowledge falls into the wrong hands, he said. Layla realized the library was both a gift and a curse. But as Yusuf studied the texts, his behavior grew erratic. He muttered in strange tongues, eyes glazed yet alight with a terrifying fervor. One evening, as Layla prepared to leave the chamber to gather more supplies, Yusuf stopped her. "This knowledge chooses its keeper," he said. "Only one may leave. The other must remain to guard the Emerald Chamber." Layla's breath caught. She saw the madness creeping into his eyes, the obsession consuming him. They argued, voices echoing in the cavernous chamber, but Yusuf's resolve hardened. "You don't understand," he said. "I hear them, Layla. The scrolls speak to me. They demand sacrifice." Torn between loyalty and fear, Layla realized she might lose Yusuf to the very knowledge they sought. As days passed, Yusuf became more distant, his mind trapped between worlds. One night, she awoke to find him gone. Panic gripped her as she searched the tunnels. Finally, finding Yusuf deep in a hidden alcove, surrounded by glowing sigils and chanting words older than their religion, he beckoned her forward voice, hypnotic. "The chamber demands a guardian," he said. "I will stay, so you may live." Layla's tears fell as she pleaded with him to leave with her, but Yusuf was resolved. "I am chosen." The chamber itself seemed to respond, walls shimmering with green light. With a heavy heart, Layla retreated as she turned. The chamber began to collapse, the ancient wards failing. The knowledge sealed once more. She ran through the tunnels, debris falling behind her, the voices of the scrolls fading, emerging into the dawn light. Layla was alone. The Emerald Chamber was lost once again. The tunnels trembled beneath Layla's feet as she fled the collapsing chamber. Shards of emerald light raining down like deadly stars. Dust choked the air, and the ancient stones groaned, warning of imminent collapse. Behind her, Yusuf's chanting echoed, a haunting melody weaving through the ruins, binding him to the chamber's fading power. Layla's lungs burned, each breath thick with dust, as she pushed forward, heart pounding against the walls that seemed to close in around her. She stumbled into a small chamber, its walls etched with a giant astrolabe machine of immense complexity, gears frozen in time. In the fading light, she realized the astrolabe was a key, one that could seal the chamber forever. Memories of her father's teachings flooded her mind, the order of the stars, the dance of the spheres, the harmony of the cosmos. Her fingers, trembling but determined, reached for the levers, carved into the ancient device. As she pulled the first lever, a shock of energy pulsed through the chamber. Scrolls burst into flames, the emerald light fading like dying embers. Yusuf appeared in the doorway, eyes blazing with desperation. "You can't do this," he shouted, voice cracked. "The knowledge must live." Layla met his gaze, tears streaming down her face. "Not like this. Not at the cost of lives." Yusuf lunged forward, but the chamber responded to Layla's will. The astrolabe whirred to life, gears turning, walls shaking. With a final pull, the chamber began to collapse inward, sealing the knowledge away from a world not ready to bear its weight. Yusuf's scream was swallowed by the falling stones. Layla barely escaped, crawling through the crumbling tunnels, the book clutched to her chest. Emerging into the cool dawn air, she collapsed on the riverbank, watching the first light illuminate Córdoba as spires. The city was safe, for now, but the cost was heavy. She had lost Yusuf, her father, and the chance to unlock secrets that might have changed history. As she rose, Layla knew her journey was not over. Some knowledge was too dangerous to wield alone, and some secrets were better left buried beneath the stones. The sun rose higher, casting warm gold across the rooftops of Córdoba. Layla sat beneath an ancient olive tree by the river, the gentle rustling of leaves blending with the quiet flow of water. The purple book, once a symbol of mystery and danger, now rested sealed in a clay jar buried beneath the tree's roots. She had learned to live with loss, her father still imprisoned, Yusuf lost to the shadows of the Emerald Chamber, and a city unaware of the treasure lying beneath its stones. Yet, there was hope. Layla opened a small school hidden away from prying eyes, a place where girls could learn to read and write, to question and dream. She taught them about stars, poetry, and history, not all the secrets, but enough to kindle curiosity. Sometimes, when the day was done and the world was quiet, she would gaze at the night sky and remember the glowing scrolls, the breathing library, and the price knowledge demanded. She understood now. Knowledge was a gift and a burden. It could inspire or destroy, and it must be handled with care. As the city bustled around her, Layla found peace in the simple joys: a child's laughter, the scent of orange blossoms, the steady rhythm of the river. She knew that some stories would never be told, some secrets forever buried, but in their place grew new seeds of wisdom, courage, and hope, and that, she thought, was enough. She closed her eyes, breathing in the cool evening air, letting the world lull her into a restful sleep. The whispers of the forbidden library were quiet now, but they would never truly fade. They lived on in the hearts of those who dared to seek the truth.